Austin's housing squeeze fuels costly online rental scams. Austin, Texas. The allure of a perfect apartment in Austin's intensely competitive housing market led 28-year-old Emily Thorne to lose $2,000 to a sophisticated online rental scam. A devastating financial blow that left her reeling and highlighted the pervasive threat of digital deception facing prospective renters nationwide. Thorne, like countless others drawn to seemingly ideal listings, discovered too late that the dream home she'd secured with a substantial deposit existed only in the carefully crafted fiction of a scammer. Thorne's ordeal began in late May, a time when Austin's housing market, characterized by soaring demand and limited inventory, was particularly unforgiving. A recent graduate with a new marketing position, Thorne was eager to find her own space after months of living with roommates. Her budget was tight, but her aspirations for a one-bedroom apartment near downtown were high. She spent countless hours scrolling through online listings on popular platforms, often feeling a surge of anxiety as desirable properties were snapped up within hours of posting. It felt like a full-time job, Thorne recounted, her voice still tinged with frustration months later. Every time I'd find something promising, it would be gone before I could even schedule a viewing. The pressure was immense. It was amidst this frantic search that she stumbled upon a listing that seemed almost too good to be true. A charming one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment in the vibrant South Congress neighborhood, complete with hardwood floors, a small balcony, and an unbeatable price of $1,600 per month. Similar units in the area were easily fetching $2,000 or more. The photos were professional, showcasing a well-maintained, bright space that perfectly matched her aesthetic. It was posted on a well-known classifieds website, lending it an initial veneer of legitimacy. Thorne immediately sent an inquiry. Within an hour, she received a polite and detailed email response from someone identifying themselves as Richard Hayes, the property owner. Hayes explained that he was a missionary currently working abroad in Southeast Asia and would be unable to show the apartment in person. He painted a picture of a benevolent landlord eager to find a responsible tenant who would care for his property while he was away. That was the first red flag, I guess, Thorne admitted, but he had such a good story. He said he trusted people easily and just wanted someone reliable. He even mentioned he was keeping the rent lower than market value because he believed in helping people find affordable housing. Hayes's emails were impeccably written, devoid of the grammatical errors often associated with online scams. He provided a detailed description of the apartment, including amenities and neighborhood highlights, all of which checked out with Thorne's own research. He even sent a link to a legitimate-looking property management website, though a closer inspection would later reveal it was a cleverly cloned site designed to mimic a real one. The communication intensified. Hayes explained that due to his remote location, he would need to send the keys and a signed lease agreement via an international courier service. To initiate this, and to demonstrate Thorne's serious intent, he requested a security deposit of $1,600 and the first month's rent of $1,600, totaling $3,200. However, sensing Thorne's hesitation about the full amount, he quickly adjusted, offering to accept just the $2,000 security deposit up front, with the first month's rent due only after she had received the keys and inspected the property. He was so accommodating, almost too accommodating, Thorne recalled. He said he understood my concerns and wanted me to feel comfortable. He sent me a copy of what looked like a standard Texas lease agreement, complete with clauses about tenant rights and responsibilities. It even had a notary stamp, though I couldn't verify it. The pressure mounted. Hayes informed Thorne that several other applicants were interested, but he felt a good connection with her and wanted to give her the first refusal. He emphasized the urgency, stating that if she wanted to secure the apartment, she needed to send the deposit via Zelle within 24 hours to an account linked to his local assistant, a supposed relative who would handle the key transfer. Thorne, caught in the emotional whirlwind of finding what seemed like the perfect home, felt her skepticism wane. She ran a quick Google search on Richard Hayes' Austin Missionary, and while she found no direct matches, she reasoned that not everyone has a strong online presence. The photos were convincing, the emails professional, and the lease agreement seemed legitimate enough to her untrained eye. The promise of keys before the full payment felt like a concession designed to build trust. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, staring at my phone, my finger hovering over the send button, Thorne said, her voice dropping. There was a tiny voice in my head saying, "Don't do it, Emily." But the bigger voice, the one that wanted that apartment so badly, told me I'd regret it if I let it slip away. I told myself I was being overly cautious, that this was just how things worked in a crazy market. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Thorne transferred $2,000 via Zelle to the account provided. The transaction was instant. She immediately emailed Hayes, confirming the payment and expressing her anticipation for the keys. A wave of relief washed over her. She had finally secured her new home. The relief was short-lived. Hayes responded promptly, acknowledging receipt and promising tracking information for the key package within 24 to 48 hours. Thorne waited, checking her email compulsively. 1 day passed, then 2, then 3. Her emails to Hayes went unanswered. His phone number, which he had only provided as a backup, went straight to voicemail. The classifieds listing for the apartment had been removed. A cold dread began to set in. Thorne frantically searched for the apartment address online, hoping to find another listing, another contact. She found similar apartments in the building, but none matching the unit number Hayes had provided. She drove to the South Congress neighborhood, walked past the building, and tried to imagine herself living there. The building existed, but there was no way to confirm if the specific unit was available or even real without a landlord present. The stark realization of the scam hit her like a physical blow. The $2,000 was gone. Her dream apartment was a mirage. It was sickening, Thorne said, her eyes welling up. Not just the money, which was a huge chunk of my savings, but the feeling of being so utterly fooled. I felt stupid, vulnerable, and completely helpless. Thorne immediately contacted her bank to report the fraudulent transaction. Unfortunately, because Zelle is designed for instant transfers between trusted parties, the bank informed her that once the money was sent, it was nearly impossible to recover, especially since the recipient had likely withdrawn it instantly. She filed a police report with the Austin Police Department, providing all the emails, the fake lease, and the Zelle transaction details. The officers were sympathetic but realistic. They told me these types of scams are incredibly common and incredibly difficult to prosecute, especially when the scammers are operating overseas, Thorne explained. They said the money is usually gone before they can even begin to trace it. Thorne's experience is far from unique. Rental scams are a pervasive problem, preying on the urgency and desperation of individuals navigating competitive housing markets. According to the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, rental and housing scams consistently rank among the top types of fraud reported by consumers. In 2022 alone, the FTC received over 100,000 reports of fraud related to housing, with losses totaling hundreds of millions of dollars. The average loss per victim can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s, with security deposits and first month's rent being the primary targets. These scammers are highly sophisticated, warned Detective Maria Rodriguez, who specializes in financial crimes with the Austin Police Department. They leverage technology, social engineering, and the emotional vulnerability of their targets. They often clone legitimate websites, use stolen photos from real listings, and create elaborate backstories that make it difficult for victims to discern fact from fiction. Detective Rodriguez explained that a common tactic is for scammers to claim they are out of the country, making an in-person viewing impossible. They pressure applicants into making quick decisions, often citing high demand or offering a slightly below market rate to entice victims. They frequently request payment via untraceable methods like wire transfers, gift cards, or peer-to-peer payment apps like Zelle or Venmo, which offer little to no fraud protection once the money is sent. The golden rule of rental hunting is never send money for a property you haven't seen in person or had a trusted representative verify, Rodriguez emphasized. And always meet the landlord or their authorized agent face-to-face. If they refuse or have an elaborate excuse, that's a massive red flag. Local real estate agents echo the sentiment. Sarah Jenkins, a veteran real estate agent in Austin, has seen countless clients fall victim to similar schemes. The Austin market is a hotbed for these scams because people are desperate, Jenkins observed. They'll overlook warning signs because they think they're getting a deal. A legitimate landlord will never ask for a deposit before you've signed a formal lease after viewing the property. They'll also use secure Secure payment methods, typically a cashier's check or direct deposit to a verified business account, not Zelle to a personal phone number. Jenkins provided a checklist of essential precautions for renters. 1. Always view the property. Insist on an in-person tour. If you can't be there, send a trusted friend or hire a local agent to do a walkthrough. 2. Verify the landlord or agent. Cross-reference their identity. Check property records to ensure they own the property or are authorized to lease it. A quick search of public county appraisal district records can confirm ownership. 3. Beware of too good to be true prices. If a rent price is significantly lower than comparable units in the area, be extremely wary. 4. Scrutinize the lease agreement. Ensure it's a standard, legally binding document. Look for missing clauses, grammatical errors, or unusual terms. Consider having a legal professional review it. 5. Use secure payment methods. Never wire money, send gift cards, or use peer-to-peer payment apps for deposits or rent unless you are absolutely certain of the recipient's